creek. Walk 'em up and down in the summer heat. Same old boy changing like the seasons. Country kid turning to a town right heathen. Country kid turning to a town right heathen.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Old Man Van Running in the Old Man Van Cave, the Old Man Van Castle. I know it's been a while, right? It's been a while since I've done a shoe review. I've been training for the New York City Marathon this coming November, and I've gone through some health-related issues over the last month that's impacted my training a bit. I've had to modify some things, but I'm getting through them, and I'm continuing to train, and I'm continuing to get ready. So don't be worried. It's nothing major. It's just some muscular things going on that I've been seeing the doctor and having addressed, and nothing serious. So finally, I'm going to give you another First Impressions shoe review. So as you know, if you're following the Old Man Van Running channel, Old Man Van has run a myriad of PRs in the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. I absolutely love that shoe when it came out. I've run PRs and everything from the 5K all the way up to the marathon distance, and just really love it. Now, I've been thinking about, is that the shoe I'm going to run again with for the New York City Marathon? I didn't know if there's another shoe out there that might knock it off its perch, but I decided I'd give another shoe a try. So when I learned that HOKA was changing the game and coming out with another carbon-plated super shoe outside of the Carbon X, I was very intrigued. The Carbon X, the original one, that was my first marathon racing shoe, and it was pretty good, but it really wasn't that super. It rolled pretty good, it was pretty light, kind of stable, but just didn't have any real pop or liveliness to it. So I've been waiting for HOKA to come out with something to compete with the Endorphin Pro 3s, the Adios Pro 3, the Alpha Fly, and the Vapor Fly, but I've been waiting a long time. Well, I saw some reviews and I read some things about the all-new HOKA Carbon X2 and decided, let me give it a shot. Here's that bad boy, the HOKA ROCKET X2. So I purchased this shoe right before the Faxon Law New Haven Road Race 20K, which is the USA Track and Field Championships. And I took a chance again, and my first run out of the box was that race. So today, we're gonna go over what my impressions were and whether or not the all-new HOKA ROCKET X2 is going to be my new New York City Marathon race shoe. So before I get into the detail review, let's go over the numbers. First of all, the HOKA ROCKET X2 comes in at a hefty price of $250 US. Now, that's kind of right there smack dab in the middle of the super duper carbon fiber racing shoes. The Endorphin Pro 3 was down around $220. Some of those other shoes are up in the like $280s, upwards of $300 US. So this is right there in the middle. Question is, does it compete with those shoes? The HOKA ROCKET X2 comes in at 7.5 ounces in a men's size 9 or 212 grams. And I believe that equates to, for a women's size, a women's size 10.5, that's the weight for it. This is a unisex shoe, so they don't have a woman's shoe and a men's shoe. So men's size 9 equals a women's size 10.5. Now we move on to stack height. As you know, some of those other shoes have upwards of 40 millimeters of stack height in the rear foot, and then, a lot of stack height in the forefoot. The Rocket X2 comes in a little below those, not quite max stack height. You have 36 millimeters in the rear foot, 31 millimeters in the forefoot for a heel-to-toe drop of that magic, less than magic, that 5 millimeter heel-to-toe drop, which is on the lower end. It's around where the Metaspeed Sky Plus is. And, that could be problematic for folks not used to it, but it really works in this shoe. Okay, so let's talk about this upper. This upper is a synthetic technical mesh here. It is ProFly X construction, whatever that means. But what I can tell you, it's really, really light, very flexible, has some underlays here just to provide a little bit of structure. Don't know if you can really see that. You see here, you see around the sides of the shoe all the way through the back, and it's transparent. I can tell you, I can see the light right through this shoe. Pretty cool, but that just adds some structure. And the tongue here, which is a very, very thin, but has a little bit of padding, just enough on it. This tongue is gusseted, and the gussets in this tongue create like a strap. I don't know if you can see it in here, like a strap around the inside or around each side of your foot. So I can actually see it here looking at the shoe. And when you kind of cinch the laces down, it basically uses those straps to kind of, cinch around your foot and keep your foot in place. Now the laces on the Rocket X2 are really good as well. They are flat. I think you can see them right here. They're flat. They're not that stretchy, just the way I like them. They cinch down really well, no problems whatsoever. There is some kind of reinforcement here around the eyelets because of that thin material in the upper. You want to be able to have, cinch the laces down without wearing through them over time. Moving on to the heel and ankle collar. Very, very thin up at the top, but then you see the padding here on the inside. I had some concerns that thin material at the top would maybe start, biting into my ankles or my heels once I cinched everything down, but I didn't notice it at all. It's not too stiff, so it kind of molds around your foot, so no issues whatsoever. Now, I always wear socks that go up past my ankles, so if you're wearing no-seam socks, maybe there might be a problem there, but I had no rubbing whatsoever and enough cushioning around there to feel real good. Now that heel counter, no structure whatsoever in the heel counter, as you see right there, very soft. However, those underlays there and that little bit of padding do give it a real good lockdown in the heel, and you really don't notice it at all. I didn't feel it at all, had no heel slippage. So it did feel like my foot was unstable in the back because of the midsole kind of riding up on the lateral and the medial side. So you know what? It saves weight that way. There was no issues with stability or anything like that. So really good job, even though there's no structure there. Sock liner, very comfortable sock liner. There is some arch support in this shoe, not a whole lot. It's not a stability shoe or a shoe specified for flat feet, but there was enough there, and with that midsole riding up on the medial side of the shoe, had no issues whatsoever. The upper and the sock liner, the laces, the gusseted tongue, the nice heel and ankle collar that's not overdone, but it does have some padding there, but it's very lightweight. Everything felt really, really good in this shoe. It was true to size. Even though it's kind of narrow there in the forefoot, because that upper kind of flexes and moves, I had no issues whatsoever. In fact, the fit of this shoe was almost as good as the fit I get in the Saucony shoes, and Saucony's fit me by far the best. So really, really good. I do think this shoe is true to size, although some people have said, it's a little bit tight there. I didn't find that at all. I felt that this actually felt maybe a little better on my feet than the Saucony Endorphin Pro 3. And one last thing about that sock liner. In the days of being eco-friendly, the surface or the covering on that sock liner is 100% recycled material. So good job, HOKA. So that brings me to the first impressions score for the upper. So the upper, I'm including everything there, right? I'm including the upper itself, I'm including the tongue, the laces, I'm including the sock liner, heel and ankle collar, the heel counter, all of that together. I give it a score of 9.5 on first impressions. Really, really excellent score. Now we get to the midsole, a full PIBA midsole. A full PIBA midsole. Now, there's a softer bit of PIBA up here on the top side above the plate, and then below the plate, a little bit firmer PIBA. But man, that has a real good softness in this shoe. I really liked it. But with that plate, that full length carbon plate with a forked end in the front, it feels pretty stable, right? It doesn't feel like it's squishy and flopping all over the place. So I really like the feel of this shoe. You get a nice compression when you heel strike right here with the bevel, rolling into that midfoot. You've got that plate in there, that full length plate, so it stiffens up a little bit. You get to the forefoot and boom, you get that early stage meta rocker and you get a bounce from that PIBA and from that carbon plate. It's really, really propulsive. Also, that midsole rides up on the lateral side and on the medial side to kind of cup your foot inside that midsole, so that's really good and helps with stability. You've got a nice wide-based midsole, so that's really good. And not being a max stack height shoe, no issues there. Because of this midsole material, even 36 millimeters in the heel and 31 millimeters in the forefoot is more than enough for this shoe to go the distance. Then you get to the outsole, which is durabrasion rubber here, plenty of coverage throughout the entire length of the shoe. They say it's kind of like the zonal rubber outsole placement. I guess that means they just put the rubber in the right zones, right? And you know what? There's plenty of it there. It's not all that thick. It's never that thick on a super duper carbon fiber racing shoe, but there's plenty of it there. It's very grippy. Question about durability. This is a racing shoe, and none of the racing shoes are that durable on the outsole. So the fact that they're not just living with sections of exposed midsole material, I think this should be a pretty durable outsole for a race day shoe. So looks pretty good to me, very grippy. So for the midsole and the outsole on the Rocket X2, I will give it a first impression score of 9.5 out of 10. Outstanding. Just love the feel of this midsole. Little bit softer on the top, a little bit firmer underneath. That plate, it's soft but not too soft. Rolls through that early stage meta rocker and you get a nice bounce at toe off. I just really like this midsole. And that outsole, boom, pretty good for a HOKA. So for stability, based on that wide base, based on the midsole riding up kind of on both sides of the shoe and cupping your foot in there, this is a pretty stable shoe. I felt planted the entire time I was running that New Haven road race. No issues whatsoever. Didn't feel like I was overpronating at all. Just felt really, really good, really, really stable. Felt as stable as the Endorphin Pro 3, so excellent as far as I'm concerned. And, even though that PIBA midsole is pretty soft, it never felt like I was wallowing in it and that it was really unstable going through. And I think that stack height being a little bit lower helps with that as well. Obviously, the carbon fiber plate helps as well. So for stability, I'm going to give the Rocket X2 an initial on first impression score of 9.3 out of 10. For a neutral carbon fiber super duper racing shoe, that is an outstanding score. And I really do think that runners that have mild to moderate stability needs would find this shoe to be stable enough for any race all the way up to the marathon. And lastly, we have value. Well, as you know, super duper carbon fiber racing shoes are way up there in price, right? Most of them are way above $200 US. At $250 US, the Rocket X2 has to be right up there alongside all the other elite racing shoes, not just in price, but in performance. And I'm going to tell you, HOKA, you finally did it. You finally built a super duper carbon fiber racing shoe that meets and matches those other super duper shoes. So because of that, I'm going to give for value the HOKA ROCKET X2 an initial first impression score of 9.3 out of 10. Only reason it's not 9.5 is it's still 250 big ones. So my overall first impressions rating of the HOKA ROCKET X2 is a 9.4 out of 10. Outstanding, outstanding score. First one out of the box, I did a 20K race in this shoe, and I'm going to tell you, my feet were no worse for wear after that run. The shoe felt light, the shoe felt fast, it felt comfortable, it had enough cushioning, it had a lot of pop. It just felt like what it is, a super duper carbon fiber elite racing shoe. And I'm going to tell you, I do believe I found my next marathon racing shoe. So look for the HOKA ROCKET X2 on Old Man Van's feet at the upcoming New York City Marathon in November. So thanks for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you got to the end, that's great. You know, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the patience of the Old Man Van running community because, you know, sometimes life happens, things happen, you got to deal with those things, and it kind of puts, you know, a lug wrench into the work, so to speak. And I appreciate you all patiently waiting for me to get back on here with some more videos. Really, really do appreciate that. So if you like this video, remember, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you'll get notified when more videos are posted. And as always, comments, comments, comments. Leave plenty of comments. That really does help the algorithm, help my channel grow. And by the way, again, if you know anybody that you think might enjoy the Old Man Van Running channel, please let them know. So thanks again. Good luck in your running. And remember, lace up those shoes and let's get out on the roads.
Railroad tracks run along the creek, walk 'em up and down in the summer heat. Same old boy changing like the seasons, country kid turning to a town right heathen.